The U.S. and Russia have agreed to resume military-to-military communication. The announcement comes as a critical arms treaty that limited the number of deployable nuclear weapons on both sides expired today. President Trump says he wants to begin talks on a new agreement. He wrote in part on Truth Social, quote, "We should have our nuclear experts work on a new, improved, and modernized treaty that can last long into the future." CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang joins us now. Weijia, the Trump administration says it wants to involve China in these new talks. Is that within the realm of possibility?
Well, President Trump has long said this, identifying China as a nuclear power. And in fact, just yesterday, his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, reiterated that, saying that if you're going to have a successful arms treaty deal in the 21st century, that's impossible to do without Beijing. However, it's important to note that today, China weighed in and said at this time, China should not be part of any extension of that treaty, pointing out that the amount of arms that the U.S. and Russia have combined is extremely large compared to what China has. So today, a spokesperson for China said that's not on the table. However, we have to see how President Trump responds to that because, again, he has made so clear that he would like China to be part of any extension.
The U.S. will hold nuclear talks with Iran tomorrow. What does the president hope comes out of those?
Well, ultimately, Lindsay, he would like there to be a new nuclear agreement with Iran. Of course, you will remember in his first term, he pulled out of the last agreement that the U.S. was in with Iran that was brokered under the Obama administration. But the talks tomorrow, even though they are happening, they were in flux for a better part of the day yesterday because there were some disagreements over the parameters of these discussions and even the location. But we know that at least 9 countries in the region pleaded with the Trump administration to have the talks as scheduled. And so that's why they are happening. But sources here are expressing a little bit of pessimism that it will actually lead to any diplomatic breakthrough.
President Trump's ally Steve Bannon said this week ICE officers will surround the polls during the midterms. Is the White House responding?
So first, it's important to note that even though at one point Steve Bannon was a close advisor of President Trump's, now he mostly focuses on his podcast, and he's not part of the president's inner circle, and he certainly is not an advisor or a staffer here at the White House. But yes, Steve Bannon did predict that in November there would be ICE officers at polling stations. And the press secretary today, Caroline Leavitt, said that she has never heard the president talk about that in any sort of formal way. When pressed by the reporter whether she could guarantee that there would not be officers at the midterm election sites this fall, Caroline said that was a silly question, and so she wasn't going to entertain it. But notable that she did not guarantee, Lindsay, that there would not be officers.
Okay, Weijia Jiang, thank you.
Sure.